Bangladesh will head to the polls on December the 23rd and vote for a new parliament. But the country's biggest Islamic party will not be taking part. Jamaat-e-Islami has had its status as a political party stripped by the Election Commission after a 5-year-long court battle. The High Court ruled it failed to meet certain electoral conditions. Supporters say the decision is prejudiced and accuse the Electoral Commission of working for the ruling party, the Awami League. Bangladesh's International Crimes Tribunal, which was set up after the Awami League came to power, has found several Jamaat-e-Islami leaders guilty of historical war crimes. So what does this mean for democracy in Bangladesh? Let's discuss this with Abu Bakr Molla, who's in London. He's the spokesman for the Jamaat-e-Islami party in Europe, in Malmo in Sweden. We have Tasneem Khalil. Tasneem is a Bangladeshi journalist. He's also an author, having written the book Jalad, Death Squads and State Terror in South Asia. But we should say, gentlemen, and also inform our viewers that we did have a representative from the Awami League who was going to join us, but they had to cancel the interview at the very last minute. But let's start with you, Abu Bakr, because this concerns your party. What's your understanding of the reason that Jamaat-e-Islami will not be standing in the elections next month?
It is not that Jamaat-Islami will not be standing. The fact is that the government is barring and stopping Jamaat-Islami from participating in the election. And government wants to weaken the opposition, as Jamaat is the key opposition political party. Government wants to weaken the democratic process in Bangladesh. Government wants to wipe out the opposition from the Bangladesh. That is why government has used the court. Government has used the election commission to weaken the Jamaat-Islami. Election Commission has since 1979 has not raised any issue against Jamaat-Islami that Jamaat constitution does not conform and comply with the Election Commission procedures and rules and the RPO. Suddenly, when Awami League has come to the power, they have used one of their ally to file a case, move a case to the court. And it was not the Election Commission who moved the petition to the court. It is an ally of Awami League who moved the petition to the court. And the High Court division, being instructed by the government, as international community has said, in particular International Crisis Group, Human Rights Watch, and American State Department, that government is using the judicial system to punish and weaken the opposition. And government is using the court system, judicial system, for their own interest against the opposition. So as part of that game, government has used the court to give a verdict against Jamaat-Islami. Jamaat has been doing the politics in Bangladesh since 1979. As I said, Jamaat has took part in the democratic process, and there was not an issue. Jamaat believes in the sovereignty of God, and it is their religious belief. And Jamaat also believes in democratic values, and it does not contradict, and it does not conflict with each other, and it does not conflict with the constitution even.
Okay.
Suddenly, as I said...
Okay, if you don't mind, Abu Bakr, let's get a more independent analysis of it. Tasneem, would you agree with Abu Bakr that the government is using the courts to get its own way politically and not have Jamaat-Islami standing in the election?
Well, I cannot comment on that. It was a
Is it a possibility? Is it a possibility at least?
Well, of course. I mean, it is. I mean, what's happening in Bangladesh for the last few years, it is a possibility, but I cannot say this is exactly what has happened. Jamaat is a party. I mean, it has a history with the election commission, actually. The gentleman from Jamaat's side, he maybe forgot that Jamaat was having difficulties in getting registration earlier under General Zia's regime also. And it happened that later Jamaat became a junior partner of BNP, General Zia Rahman's party. So Jamaat definitely has this history of, having difficult relationships with the election commission in Bangladesh. That's what we can see.
Do people in Bangladesh, obviously not supporters of Jamaat, but its opponents, not politicians, but the general population, is there a feeling amongst the general population that Jamaat poses a threat to Bangladesh, either socially or politically?
Well, Jamaat has a very violent history that dates back to even before the birth of Bangladesh. And Jamaat as a political party was opposed to the independence of the country. And politically, it was allied with the Pakistani military as it was engaged in a genocide in erstwhile East Pakistan at that time. So definitely there are lots of stigma attached to this party because of that history of 1971. That is number one. And then also Jamaat, post-independence, Jamaat has a violent history, especially with its student wing, the Chhatra Shibir, has had a violent way of conducting its affairs. So definitely, among the general public in Bangladesh, Jamaat is not actually, very, very popular in that sense. So yes, but then again, Jamaat for the last few years, they have been their base, activists and leaders. They have been subjected to extrajudicial executions by the Hasina regime. That is not supported by most of the general populace, I would say.
Right, Sheikh Hasina, you're referring to there, the Prime Minister. Abu Bakr, come back on that. And let's bear in mind, these are not Tasneem's accusations against Jamaat, but ones that are out there in the popular domain, that a lot of people in Bangladesh see your party's history as a problem in terms of its current state.
I absolutely disregard what Mr. Tasneem has said.
No, remember, he's not saying that it's his personal opinion. He has given us an overall independent appreciation. I could easily have put those points to you myself from my notes here.
Yeah, that is his perspective. That is his perspective. I do not buy his point. Let me remind him that Jamaat, in all the parliamentary elections, Jamaat has participated. And in no election, in local or national election, that Jamaat did not participate. Jamaat has participated in all participatory elections in Bangladesh. And there was not an issue. Election commissions has sometimes raised the issue to all political parties that you have to change this and that. But it does not mean that election commission has raised an issue with Jamaat that your constitution does not comply with the RPU or is not eligible to be registered. No. If it is the case, if Tasneem Alam is right, election commission could have deregistered Jamaat. They did not. And they did not file a case against Jamaat. And election commission is not a party. They did not file the case against Jamaat Islami. It is an ally of Awami League who moved the petition to the court. So it is a government conspiracy. It is very clear. As I said, it is not me who said that. It is United States Department's report, Human Rights Watch report, International Crisis Group report, who said that government is using judicial system for their own interest against the opposition. And also, you know that the ex-Chief Justice, Mr. Sinha, has been ousted and thrown out of the country because he had given a judgment against the government. So there is a clear proof that government is using the court system. And surprisingly, just 1 month before the election, the court has given the decision. The High Court finally published the verdict, and the Election Commission has formally deregistered. However, the fact of the matter is, Jamaat has appealed against the decision 5 years back. The appeal is still pending with the Supreme Court. And the Election Commission has not shown any respect to the appeal. Appellate Division has accepted the appeal because they considered there are grounds to argue against the High Court decision, which we say it is a politically motivated decision. So we appeal. The case is still pending. When the case is pending, you cannot deregister a political party. It is a disrespect to rule of law. It is a disrespect to justice. It is disrespect to democracy. It is disrespect to constitutional rights of the members of Jamaat Islami.
Okay, I will come back to the current state as we are today in 2018, but I want to go back to 1971. In case the viewers need reminding, Bangladesh used to be East Pakistan. And in 1971, Jamaat-e-Islami is accused of taking part alongside the Pakistani army in operations against Bengali nationalists and pro-liberation intellectuals. Do you deny that?
What I said is that Jamaat has taken a political decision in 1971. The then leadership of Jamaat Islami, they said that there should be a united Pakistan. But it does not mean that political decision is similar to supporting the army, Pakistani army's military campaigning on the innocent people of Bangladesh. The Jamaat Islami never supported or took part with the military campaign of Pakistani government. Jamaat has not participated or aided genocide, crimes against humanity, or war crimes accused of Pakistani army. Not at all. There has not been any independent investigation or independent judicial process that Jamaat Islami leadership or members of Jamaat was accused of.
Okay.
International
Yes.
community, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty, a major international organization has said the trial which has been taken place against the Jamaat leaders and Jamaat leadership, by which Jamaat leadership has been hanged, it was not a transparent judicial process. It was a politically motivated process. There was not an independent and fair trial against Jamaat Islami.
Yes,
If
you're
there is an
completely correct.
independent
Abu
and fair
Bakr,
trial,
you're right. Those rights groups have condemned that process that's taking place. It's not a process that is in any way backed by the United Nations. So let's come on to the present. Tasneem, is there a wider war, let's call it a war, going on in Bangladesh between those who want to live in a secular society and those who would like Bangladesh redefined along more slightly stricter interpretations of Islam? Is that an issue in the country at the moment? Does Jamaat-e-Islami fit into that battle?
Thank you, Adnan. Very good question. But before that, I must raise this objection to what Mr. Abu Bakr was saying there. There are independent researchers. There are books by even Pakistani diplomats. I can talk about Hussein Haqqani, for example. And people have written books documenting how Jamaat-e-Islami and its student wings were supplying members to a death squad called Al-Badr back in 1971. And I really don't understand how you can take a political decision and support a unified Pakistan when Pakistan army was slaughtering Bengali civilians and and raping Bengali women. What kind of politics is that? Having said that, right now I do not see what's happening in present-day Bangladesh as a clash between secular politics and Islamist politics. What happened here is that Sheikh Hasina is engaged in a game of what I say, your Islamist is worse than my Islamist. So Sheikh Hasina is allied with some Islamist parties that are more conservative than Jamaat. Some of them have very questionable medieval ideas about, for example, women's participation in the society. And she is fine with them. She is fine with, getting support from them. Just 2 days back, Hasina had a meeting, a dialogue with, I think, around 10 Islamist parties, and they said they want to see her as the prime minister in the next term also. So it is not necessarily a clash of secularism and Islamism. It's something much darker, I would say, much colder.
Abu Bakr, all is not lost for Jamaat-e-Islami because the Electoral Commission has said that if you make certain modifications, you can be reinstated as a political party. Are there any plans for Jamaat-e-Islami to comply with those requests to then again play a part in political life in Bangladesh?
As I said, that it was not an issue by the Election Commission at all, that Jamaat's constitution does not comply with the Election Commission rules or RPO. Election Commission has not raised the issue. That Jamaat believes in the sovereignty of Allah, God, And some other Islamic political party also believes that. So there is not any issue with other political parties. Why suddenly there is an issue with Jamaat Islami? Because Jamaat is a key opposition political party against the government. That is the main reason. And Jamaat has appealed against the decision of the High Court, and the case is still pending with the Supreme Court. The case has not been decided. So it is if there is an the fair decision from the Supreme Court, Jamaat will get the registration back. And Jamaat wants to get the registration back, and Jamaat believes in democracy. Jamaat wants to take part in the democracy. Jamaat always committed to the democracy. Jamaat took part in major parliamentary and the local elections. And as Mr. Tasnim Alam has said, that the government is fine with their government is very fine with their so-called Islamists, but when you are against the government, then you are not fine. Your constitution does not comply with the election commission or the constitution of Bangladesh. So it is nothing but a political conspiracy against Jamaat Islami, because Jamaat is a key political major political party which is acting against the current regime.
Gentlemen, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on the Newsmakers.